Welcome. Michigan Alliance for Families is pleased to offer you this webinar in our effort to support your understanding of the roles and responsibilities of a Parent Advisory Committee, also known as PAC or PAC. The more you know about PACs, the more effective you can be in your role as a Parent Advisory Committee member, or make an informed decision about becoming a member. Michigan Alliance for Families is a statewide organization serving Michigan's families whose children receive special education programs and services, including those that may be eligible. We believe that an informed and educated parent can better partner with school personnel to get the best possible educational outcomes for their child. We do this by providing a comprehensive website, sharing information on social media, and offering learning opportunities like this one for parents and those who support them. We also have a monthly e-newsletter that you can sign up for by going to our website. Michigan Alliance for Families' greatest asset is our regional parent mentors and our information and referral staff. You can reach the regional parent mentor covering your geographic area by calling our 800 number, and by the magic of technology, you will be routed directly to your parent mentor. Michigan Alliance for Families is funded by grants from the U.S. Department of Education, Office of Special Education and Rehabilitation, and the Michigan Department of Education, Office of Special Education. All services we offer are available at no cost. If you would like a copy of the PowerPoint used in this presentation, send your request to info@michiganallianceforfamilies.org. This webinar will be structured around answering these questions. I will be referring to specific rules within the Michigan Administrative Rules for Special Education, sometimes referred to as MARS. You can find a link to the Michigan Administrative Rules for Special Education on the resource slide at the end of this presentation. After reviewing the information in the Michigan Administrative Rules for Special Education, I have put together a set of questions. The intent is to give you a set of questions that can be added to any discussion you are having related to parent advisory committees that you are involved in. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, is the federal law that governs special education. IDEA does not require regional or local parent advisory committees. However, the Michigan Administrative Rules for Special Education do require intermediate school district boards to appoint a parent advisory committee. There is no requirement underneath the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act or the Michigan Administrative Rules for Special Education for local school districts to form a parent advisory committee, although there are some school districts that have created them. These are oftentimes referred to as CPACs, or Special Education Parent Advisory Committees. The Michigan Administrative Rules for Special Education provides information on the role and responsibilities of the Parent Advisory Committee. In the middle of this slide, you see a citation for a specific section within the Michigan Administrative Rules for Special Education. When you see R340, know that this is a reference to the Michigan Administrative Rules for Special Education. R340.1838 contains information about the responsibilities of the Intermediate School District's Board to appoint a Parent Advisory Committee. Throughout this presentation, you will see reference to specific rules. I hope this helps you locate the information. A Parent Advisory Committee is an advisory committee. So that begs the question, who are you advising? Is it the Intermediate School District's Board of Education? Or is it the Intermediate School District's administration? Or both? Make sure your parent advisory committee understands who they are advising. What does it mean to advise? It means that you are making recommendations or providing input. Parent advisory committees are not governing boards. The entity that you are advising is free to take your advice or not. Parent advisory committees are not governing. You are not participating in nor making final decisions, especially those involving the allocation of money. Your role is to gather information and give advice. The Intermediate School District's Board of Education has the responsibility for appointing the Parent Advisory Committee members. Your local school district nominates a parent representative, and the Intermediate School District's board approves them. Just attending a meeting does not make you a member of the Parent Advisory Committee. It may be useful to have an internal Parent Advisory Committee document that lists the names and contact information for members, the school district they represent, date they were appointed, and their child's age and eligibility for special education. Most parent advisory committees have a liaison from the Intermediate School District's administration who attend in a supportive role to the Parent Advisory Committee and can provide a means of communication between the Parent Advisory Committee and the administration and the board. The Intermediate School District may allocate a budget for the Parent Advisory Committee. The budget allocation is intended to support the PAC in carrying out their roles and responsibilities. This leads me to the next set of questions. How are you advising? Is this advice communicated through the Intermediate School District's liaison only? Are you providing only verbal or written advice, or both? As you think about the answer to the last slide, who are you advising? Have you invited the superintendent of the Intermediate School District to attend your meeting? Is the superintendent aware of the work of the Parent Advisory Committee? You might want to consider inviting the superintendent to join your meeting at a regular interval, the first meeting of the year, the last meeting of the year. If your answer to the previous slide was that you are advising the Intermediate School District administration, you should consider what relationships beyond the Intermediate School District's liaison that you need to develop. The Intermediate School District's Board of Education appointed you to this committee. Have members attended an Intermediate School District Board of Education meeting? Consider asking to be placed on the Board of Education's agenda and do a presentation on the purpose and the work of the Parent Advisory Committee. The Parent Advisory Committee has the responsibility to determine and document the organizational structure of the PAC. This is often done by bylaws, and bylaws are rules used to govern the work of the Parent Advisory Committee. The Intermediate School District's liaison can be a resource for writing or revising your bylaws. Participating in the development and modification of the ISD's plan is a crucial role of the Parent Advisory Committee. I will cover this more specifically in a couple of slides. Providing input on any matter that the committee deems appropriate to the improvement of special education services within the Intermediate School District. This is a very broad statement. The role of representing a local school district or an ISD program requires parents to move from the I voice to the we voice. Your experience is important to your role on the PAC. However, knowing the experiences of other parents in the district you represent is also important. PAC members need to have a plan for staying informed on issues related to special education in your local school district as well as the ISD. The State Performance Plan, the Annual Performance Report, and the determinations for each of the local school districts and the intermediate school district contain information that can be valuable to the PAC. The resource slide at the end of this presentation will provide a link to more information on the State Performance Plan. The Intermediate School District's liaison can provide the Parent Advisory Committee with information on the Intermediate School District and the local school district's annual performance report and determinations. Now that you have an understanding of the broad role and responsibilities of the Parent Advisory Committee, there are some things to consider as you determine the function of your PAC. Let's look at some specifics. It is crucial that the Parent Advisory Committee have bylaws and that you follow the bylaws that have been developed. It is important that all members have a copy of those bylaws and that you build into your bylaws how often you will review and or revise the existing bylaws. This is an example of an outline for consideration when developing, reviewing, or revising PAC bylaws. A great way to start this process is by reviewing or creating a mission statement. Each of the points listed here help define and clarify the roles of members, define the work of the PAC, and give parents considering involvement a clear understanding of the expectations should they be appointed. There are two things, somewhat common issues that PACs need to consider. Some Parent Advisory Committee members attend IEP meetings with families in the district they represent. It will be helpful for parents who are thinking about joining a PAC to know their responsibilities. Is this a role you want your PAC members to take on? Would it be mandatory or optional? Is this something your Parent Advisory Committee currently does? And if so, how are you ensuring that they have the knowledge and expertise to attend those meetings? The Michigan Administrative Rules for Special Education do not identify this as a responsibility of the PAC members. R340-1725F of the Michigan Administrative Rules describes what a surrogate parent is and their responsibilities. Some intermediate school districts look to members of the Parent Advisory Committee to act in the role of a surrogate parent. Is this something that your Parent Advisory Committee is currently doing? And if so, how are you ensuring that your members have the knowledge and skills that ensure adequate representation of a child? The Michigan Administrative Rules for Special Education require intermediate school districts to appoint surrogate parents in specific situations. However, the rules do not identify this as a responsibility of PAC members. It is important for parent advisory committees and intermediate school district administrators to have open and thoughtful conversations about PAC members attending meetings and appointment of surrogate parents. This brings us to the next important question. What do you need to know to advise? In order to provide advice, what do you need to know and how will you learn? The Intermediate School District's Service Delivery Plan can help PAC members understand the special education system in local school districts as well as the intermediate school district. Circling back to that state performance plan and the annual performance report, these can provide a good foundation for understanding where each school district stands as it relates to both compliance and results indicators. You are representing your local school district on this committee. To be a member, you were nominated by your local school district and appointed by the Intermediate School District Board of Education. Showing up and attending meetings does not mean that you are a member. Since you were appointed by your local school district, consider how your members are getting information back to their local school districts about the work of the Parent Advisory Committee. Consider meeting once a year with your local superintendent. Consider asking for time on the agenda for your local school board of education's meeting. May is a great time to provide them with an overview of the work and advice that you have provided during the current school year. So far, I've focused on the organizational structure of the Parent Advisory Committee. I want to switch the focus to the Special Education Service Delivery Plan. This requires looking at additional sections in the Michigan Administrative Rules for Special Education, R 340, 1832 to 1836. This rule includes content areas, cooperative development and reviews, plan signature, and objection to the plan. R 340.1832, section K through N, describes what type of information about the Parent Advisory Committee needs to be included in the service delivery plan. This includes how the Intermediate School District will appoint the PAC members, a description of the role and responsibilities of the PAC, the role and the relationship of administrative or other school personnel in assisting the PAC and its responsibilities, description of the fiscal and staff resources that will be secured or allocated to the Parent Advisory Committee. R 340.1833, Cooperative Development and Review. This rule covers the requirement that the Parent Advisory Committee be involved in the development and review of the service delivery plan. This is a key responsibility of the Parent Advisory Committee. R 340.1835, Plan Signature. This rule indicates that the chairperson of the Parent Advisory Committee shall sign the district's plan or modification of the plan. It is important to note that your signature indicates that the chairperson of the Parent Advisory Committee was involved in the development of the plan. The signature does not indicate approval or agreement of the plan, just that the chairperson was involved in the development. R 340.1836, Objections to the plan. The first sentence in this rule is, any constituent local school district, a public school academy, or the Parent Advisory Committee may file objections in whole or in part to any approved intermediate school district plan or plan modification that the intermediate school district has submitted to the Superintendent of Public Instruction for approval. The Superintendent of Public Instruction is referring to Michigan's Superintendent of Public Instruction at the Michigan Department of Education. The objection must be in whole or part of an approved and submitted plan to the Michigan Department of Education. Given the importance of the Parent Advisory Committee's role in the development and review of the service delivery plan, determining and knowing the answer to these questions is important. When was the service delivery plan written? Have there been any recent modifications? When was the last time the service delivery plan was reviewed by the Parent Advisory Committee? Having a discussion regarding what does participation in the development or review mean, or what does it look like, gives you an opportunity to determine what this will look like the next time the plan is reviewed or modified. If you need or want help developing an action plan for yourself or a parent advisory committee, I recommend reviewing the rules identified in this presentation. Using the questions posed during this presentation can guide a PAC agenda and help clarify the roles and responsibilities. Answering these 3 questions might help you set a direction. What is going well? What could be done better? And what is something that you can do at your next PAC meeting to begin to move forward? If you are considering involvement in a parent advisory committee, I recommend using a document titled Guidelines for Exploring Interagency Opportunities to ask questions and get answers so that you can make an informed decision about involvement in a PAC. This form can also help current PAC members clarify the expectations of the committee. The form can be found on Michigan Alliance for Families' webpage on parent advisory committees. You may find it helpful to seek out more information. This slide directs you to Michigan Alliance for Families' website and specific pages on topics covered during this webinar. Stay connected with Michigan Alliance for Families. We are here to educate and support you. One of our greatest assets is our regional parent mentors and our information and referral staff. You can reach the parent mentor covering your geographic area by calling our 800 number. And by the magic of technology, you will be routed directly to your parent mentor. The upcoming events page on our website will let you know about additional learning opportunities. Also, check out our on-demand webinars, available when you need them. You can access our on-demand webinars through our website. Thank you for viewing this webinar. If you would like a copy of the PowerPoint, then send your request to info@michiganallianceforfamilies.org.